Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual.
What's going on? How are you?
I'm good. Life's finally kind of chilled a little bit. Yeah, like finished my show, which was great and really lovely to get to do. And now it's done and I'm back to just doing other things that aren't the show.
Like what? And how was closing? I want to know how closing was.
Closing went great. We had a good run, and then we did a thing where we closed the show on a Sunday afternoon, officially the theater run, and then started a whole new new contract, meaning we shot the show with a close-ups camera. So we ran the show, but a guy was following us around the stage and taking shots.
That's cool.
And doing reverses and replaying some scenes. And then we did a live performance of the show 2 days later with a full audience, but for the purpose of shooting it. So even that, something went wrong technically. So we actually ran that scene again, even though we were in front of a live audience. So it's like a studio audience, or we fixed some things that were not working. And so.
I love that. Was that fun for you?
That was fun for the most part, except I was responsible for one of the things. Stupid thing, I'm supposed to leave the lighter and not put it back in my pocket so that it's there for the next scene for them to do all the stuff with the cigarettes. And that time only, when we're shooting it, I forgot to leave the lighter. So they're doing the scene and then they don't have the lighter. And all the bits with the lighter are they're screwed. And so they finished the scene and the producer was like, we're actually going to do that scene again. We need the continuity, I was like, okay.
Hey, so we both keep freezing up a bunch. I think I need to hop off and hop on. Do you think?
Maybe let's just, do you want to just both of us stop and start again?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, bye.
Let's have lots of recordings.
I think I cut him off mid-sentence. I didn't know he was going to keep talking. I should have known by now.
They asking you find them inside you, reciting the records Akashic. We laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms.
There we go. Hopefully that'll be better. Although my camera just turned off. There we go.
There you are. Hello.
Yes. So we'll see. Hopefully it gets better.
Yeah. One never knows. All right. So there you were.
There we were. We reshot some things, but it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed doing it. I had a moment of dread of restarting the process after we'd closed because I felt like everybody else had kind of put it to bed and I was dreading their reactions to starting again, which was my own story that I was writing. I caught myself doing that. I was like, wow, what is that about? Just not wanting to deal with people anymore for a moment, with other people's possible grumpiness around things.
I hear that.
Instead, it was maybe it would just be better if it was done and I wouldn't have to face other people's possible problems with what's going on.
I hear that. Yep. I get that. That's human of you.
So but I'm really glad I got to do it and I'm okay with it being done. Honestly, not having to wade through the human misery that is Market Street right now every night.
Oh, shit. What?
It is awful. It is so sad, Katie.
Well, tell me more. What?
So, especially on the block that the Strand Theater is located on,
yeah,
which is where we were performing,
yeah,
is one of the hardest to walk blocks in San Francisco, with at least 50% of the people openly holding a piece of foil and a lighter and a plastic tube in their hand, which means they're smoking crack. So crack smoking just right there. The last day there, guy right in the middle of the sidewalk, not even up against the wall, with just needle hanging out of his arm. Just so much misery and so much just intense energy of of need and pain. And it was just it's such a weird city overlay,
Yeah.
In front of ACT's Second Stage Theater, which is flagship woo-woo, highfalutin, first world, blah, blah bullshit, and then right in front of it, they literally have to be can y'all clear half a block away so people can walk into the lobby?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So armoring up with human misery was a thing. Having to just be huh.
That's hard. Yes.
I care about you humans, but I can't. I'm going to choose not to.
I have to go into this building and do other stuff now.
Yeah. So.
Such is reality. That does sound hard.
Yeah. So that experience still ongoing because they're still going to edit the movie and stuff like that. And there's also a documentary being worked on. So we'll see
Yeah.
what's all happening there.
It's cool. And okay, and then you said now you're doing other things. What are you up to now?
Just the same old of like a lot of feet first and a lot of speechless.
Nice.
Doing a lot of coaching, which you are doing as well. We're doing that one. And a lot of events. Not a lot, but enough.
Are you doing the Seattle gig?
For speechless?
For feet first?
I guess not.
Oh.
I don't know about the Seattle gig. They didn't ask. Is Scott going to Seattle? Is that why?
I think so.
Yeah. No, but I'm going to do a Baltimore gig later in the month.
That's cool. I love Baltimore.
Never been.
Ugh, I love it a lot. It's a very odd place, but I have a weird affinity with it. Yeah, it's a dynamic city with a lot of... Its relationship to gentrification is complicated.
Uh-huh.
Like they all are, but it has a very unique... I'll have to hear your words about it when you come back. The way gentrification is happening there is spotty. So it's not like a whole neighborhood gets changed. It's like one store is a white lady place around, but with like 6 not white lady places right around it. And then you go 6.
And they maintain, they don't push them out eventually.
So far, it's just very like this, like it's spotty. It's just but a lot of the places where it's spotty are like kind of like the area you're describing. And you kind of like don't want to go there because it's scary. And
isn't Baltimore where The Wire takes place?
I don't know. That sounds right, though.
I think it is. I never really watched it. I watched a few episodes and I couldn't watch it. It was too good and real and intense. I was like, I don't want to see this.
Pretty gritty. Yeah. Anywho, it also has like a waterfront and rich history and cobblestone-y sections and just cool. You'll like it.
Okay, we did just freeze up again.
Oh.
Damn it.
Well, the last thing I can do is turn GarageBand off, turn Zoom off, restart everything.
Consciousness is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magicless basking. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
So, okay. I start my cross-country drive Thursday.
What? That's really soon.
I know. It's the 30th of March. It's Thursday.
How long are you taking to drive?
So I'm going to do 3 days to Albuquerque.
Okay.
It's really like 2.5. I wish I could do 2, but it would be too hard. So it'll be 2 longer days and a sort of a half day. Stay with my dad Saturday and Sunday. Have some downtime. Maybe get my eyebrows done.
Okay.
And then Monday, Tuesday, go from Albuquerque to NorCal.
Nice. That's a...
5 days.
Yeah, but 2 days is a not brutal, but pretty direct. Like you gotta hump it.
Yeah, you gotta hump it. It's gonna be like 8 and 9 hour days. I mean, if I wanted to have total ease, I would do it in 3. And knowing, who knows? I may midway be like, never mind, I'm taking 5, because, oh, you're frozen.
You were frozen. So we are somewhere in between us is a freezing point. Something is happening, and neither of us can tell what it is.
I don't think we can figure it out. So.
No, we've done all the things.
Yeah.
So we'll just be patient with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited or are you dreading it? Tell me how you're feeling about the thought of this drive and this trip.
When I think about it, I'm worried about a couple things. I'm nervous about weather.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm nervous about like anything happening to my car, like having to go through the stress of crazy weather or having to go through the stress of a tire blowing or whatever with the car.
Yeah.
I don't get that any of that will happen. I've been asking a lot.
I believe it. I'm sure you are.
I keep getting like, nah, clear skies, blue skies, easy peasy. This is the time to do it. And I feel supported in that because of how many gigs just fell into my lap for April in California. Like it feels like the universe is like, go to California for April.
Nice. So more than just the Grass Valley show, you've got a bunch of other things coming up.
Yeah, it was like the minute the Grass Valley show happened, 3 different things were like, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And I was like, yes. What? Yes, I'll already be there. Then, of course, I was like, hey, Scott. Hey, Dominican College. Hey, Samuel Merritt University. Hey, I'm here. You have any stuff? So like,
Yeah.
I'm just working it. But it was like all these doors just opened immediately for April. And then I've just been riding it. So we'll see.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think the drive feels supported. Feels like the doors are open, flow and ease. I keep looking at the weather and being like, okay, from here to, Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Thursday is still clear, knock wood, and I'm just going to take it a day at a time. That's the best I can do, right?
I mean, you're finally getting out of, March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. That's the phrase. Do you remember that phrase?
What does that mean? No.
That's the phrase I remember from my childhood. It was about like the weather and what usually, of course, nothing is the same as it was because climate chaos has changed all the rules. But I remember like seeing it on like stitched on a sampler. I don't know. I don't even know what that means. Stitched on a sampler. That's just a phrase. March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb.
But what does it mean?
So the beginning of March is blustery and weathery.
Oh.
And the end of March is gentle and calm.
That's been true here. That's weird.
I mean, we just had one more, like 2 or 3 days ago, massive atmospheric river with wind and trees falling and someone died. And like it's more crazy. A friend of mine's office was just destroyed by a tree. Apparently a tree crashed through, broke it open, and then the rain came in and soaked it.
Where was this?
In Berkeley.
God.
Yeah. I'm really glad that my house doesn't have big trees around it. Really glad.
That's very stressful.
Yeah. So, but I think that's going away. And today is gorgeous. It's warm for the first time in months. Anyway, you're coming here. You're going to do a bunch of things. So as far as the energy of travel and enjoyment, you're feeling positive?
Yeah, I'm just a little hyper focused on the weather. Like everything on Thursday is clear on my weather app, and it keeps being clear on this whole drive. So then the thing becomes, what is the weather on the next day and the next day? And like I can predict it with my little radar, but only kind of.
Right.
So I'm just doing a lot of prayer and intention work and just being like, let's make this ease, okay? You set this trip up.
I'll refer you back to like 5 episodes ago when you really made it clear that you're a weather wizard when it's necessary.
That's a good point. Thank you.
When the universe says, yeah, I guess you do need this, then it lets you.
Right.
But only when it's necessary and won't fuck something else up.
That's sure true. I'm actually now, as we're talking, I'm adding a couple cities to my thing because I'm like, all right, keep me in the loop about Dallas and Wichita because I got to drive through Dallas on Friday.
Oh, really?
And like, yeah. And today.
Oh, right. Because you're coming from Florida. So you're way down there and you go up through Dallas, right?
Oh, that doesn't look good in Dallas.
That's today, though. Oh, on Friday.
Maybe it'll change. And then Saturday's good in Dallas. So you know what I mean? It's like I may get stuck in fucking Wichita, Texas. I may have to wait.
Right. Take an extra day in one of those towns.
Yes. Right. That's a good question I haven't really asked. How many days will it actually take me to get to Albuquerque? That's a good question. Any
answers coming?
Yeah, let me sit with it for a second. Well, I still get 3. So that's on schedule. So maybe the weather will shift. I just don't want to go through. What's hard is like you can plan all you want, but then like you might be on a freeway and all of a sudden a storm is happening.
And if it's just rain, that's no big deal. But if it's a Texas storm, I've been in a Texas storm 40 years ago where we literally pulled over and just waited by the side of the road like you did in that lightning storm.
What kind of storm was it?
It was just rain, but the rain was so thick that you could not see. This was in East Texas. Sorry. It's just, it did happen.
Well, I know it's reality. I mean, when they just come out of nowhere, that's what's hard.
Yeah. And I don't even think we were there for that long, but it was just like, oh, we can't keep driving.
Yeah.
That is not a choice.
Yeah, I get it.
And you just go side of the road, hope for the best.
Did I ever tell you about the time I drove from Florida to California with my boyfriend at the time when I went to grad school, when I moved there?
Maybe.
The short version is, because Erin's here and we'll let her in, is we got to California. We were on the 5.
Uh-huh.
And out of nowhere, in the middle, it was like 8 o'clock at night. So it was pitch black. It started to hail snow, like golf ball sized hail nuggets at the car that were pelting the fucking windshield, which.
Like you were afraid that it was going to break the windshield.
Yeah. So like you're saying, the only choice was pull over and wait. And so we did, and it passed eventually, and we just kept going because we were in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere. But then we did pull off at the next hotel we could find, and it was shitty as hell, and there was like all kinds of shady business going on at that hotel. And I had a terrible night's sleep, and shady shit went on both rooms, on both sides. I was with a boyfriend, though, then. That was like I wasn't alone.
Oh, yeah, shady hotel stuff. Not fun. Well, I guess we should let Erin in. I also have 2 other this last week things happened that were more about spiritual growth that I learned.
Oh, like what?
Not growth so much as actual like shit. So, I mean, I can tell you real quick, and maybe if it comes up, we can talk about it more. One, I was doing a meditation, and I did it 2 days in a row. Denise was staying with me for a few days, and we did this recorded meditation that she had. And I figured out that, and I think it happens all the time because I was thinking through it and I was like, oh, this always happens. When you're doing a walk through the chakras, for me, I'm listening totally like, oh, I'm here, I'm present, I'm going to listen. And I get the first one usually. And then I kind of come to when we get to probably third eye and crown, basically, or whatever, the last 2. I skipped the middle 3. I do not You
go to sleep?
I go to sleep. I like start thinking about a thing. Like yesterday I was thinking about this house that Denise had showed me because they're looking for a house. And I was like, oh, that would be a cool space. Like just totally started like walking through the house in my brain. Like, oh, that they could use that space for a guest room or whatever. Like nothing important, but I wander away. Even when I sat down, because I knew it already because it had happened the day before. And I was like, okay, today I'm listening to all the chakras, and I check out, and it's the same. And I always come to when I get to the head. I don't know what that means, Katie.
You want some feedback?
Yeah.
You know that 2, 3, 4, 5 is where the majority of people's trauma is.
Yeah.
Sex and sense of self and love and connection and voice. So that's very textbook. It's pretty obvious.
Right. But like, why can't I? You'd think I'd want that. So I like, how do I stay on it?
Well, a part of you wants it. A part of you doesn't. The unconscious protector parts are protecting you. The energy of it is very present right now.
Yeah.
And the protector parts don't want to go there.
I was almost thinking I needed like a custom pre-recorded or guidance where it goes, and now we move to the third chakra. Cassidy, are you still listening? We are at the third chakra now. And like, just keep going. Stay with me, Cassidy. Are you with me? Please keep listening, Cassidy. Like,
yeah.
And even then I would probably be tuning unless it was like, hey.
Yeah. I mean, this is why people get healing work done. And you can't always do it alone, and you can't do it with a recording. Sometimes you got to have a person there like, and now what's happening? And now what's happening? Okay. Where'd you go now? Cool. Let's come back. Let's feel into it. And that's my whole job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hard to like, at first I was almost embarrassed or ashamed that was happening. I realized that I felt that the embarrassment of failing.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Oh my God. You are ready for some healing work, man.
Okay.
Your system is
cranked up. Well, I'll bring up the other thing and then let's let Erin in. And it may be totally related. So also Denise and I are having a discussion about, I think we were talking about Cards Against Humanity and sort of its philosophical framework and how it's problematic. We were just talking about something we agree on even.
Yeah. And
suddenly we were having a more heightened discussion about it and a slight disagreement about something. And she finally kind of went like, I think we just need to stop. You're like talking to me as though we're not, in a deep relationship that know each other. Like I was well actuallying and being very like interrupting and over talking and really pushy. And of course, then I got very defensive about that and was like, well, you are too. And even there, I was like zoomed out over my head going, when you're defensive, it means you feel guilty about actually doing the thing you're being defensive about. And I knew that was happening and I was still doing it. Right.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That was just a thing that happened and I was aware of it. But then I felt like shit the rest of the day. I could not forgive myself.
Huh.
Because that is the one aspect of me that I do not want to exist. Like that personality,
Yeah.
I want to annihilate.
The mansplaining one?
It's the mansplaining one. I feel shame about it. I feel anger about it.
Yeah.
And so that I had done that, I couldn't. Denise had forgiven me long before. She was like, oh, it's fine. It happened. We had to relate. We're fine. But I was sad and angry and hurting the rest of the day. And maybe that's related to that chakra stuff, but I don't know.
Well, it's living in the heart and the throat. So yeah. But you know that the sad and anger about that would be something to process in a session with your therapist or whoever. In other words, just naming it isn't going to liberate you from it.
Yeah, I need to do some work on it, but it was an old trauma that came up. Stuff I thought I'd sort of, like you said, like, I thought I'd fucking deal with that. I healed that. And then you're like, ooh, it came up, but it came up really rearing its head in a way that I didn't expect.
I hear that. Yeah, I get it. Whew, it's here now. All this yawning I'm doing is my system processing your system.
Well, thank you.
I can't stop it.
I appreciate that. I know, but I'm still thankful for you being a vessel of sorry that you have to.
We may, it might be interesting. We'll see what happens. But when Erin starts talking, maybe we'll get into kind of a dual healing.
I'm down for it.
Okay, I'm letting her in.
Great. Appreciate you.
Let's see what happens. Burps.
I have joined.
Yes.
I am here.
Thank you for waiting.
No problem. It's like waiting to go on stage. I felt a little nervous. I had to like pee.
Did you get to?
I think we're good. I've got my tea, bladders in a reasonable state. We're all good.
Nice. What's up? Hi.
Hi.
It's you. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Katie and Cassidy.
For those who don't know, this is Erin Stuart or Erin Meiling Stuart. What do you prefer to be identified as?
I think in the context that it all involves my art life, Erin Meiling Stuart is what I'm known as, or Emmels to some who are close by.
I like that.
That came from El Bay, who will nickname anyone who comes in their proximity.
Yep.
Yes, that is true.
Oh my God. Erin Meiling Stuart. All right. So hi, welcome to the podcast. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
I feel like you and I, interacted? We've interacted like 2 times ever before this.
Definitely at least one in
Boston,
seeing Rami when I was there to see them in Hurricane Diane.
Yes.
I think, which was a wild little trip. Yeah. So we got to hang out in there. I think we sort of crossed.
That's right.
Like coming, going, air mattress.
Yep.
I mean, Rami is our chief booker for guests on the show at this point.
That's so true.
They've got their rules. They've got the whole community.
Well, then they have their list of people. You should have this person on. Okay, sounds great.
Yep. I'm here for it.
Yeah. But then have we ever interacted other times? I keep trying to call to mind another time we've been in.
I think that might have been it.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I definitely, aside from like voice messages where Rami became obsessed with my human design and then forwarded me a bunch of your messages.
Yeah. We did recently talk about your 6-2-iness.
Yeah. I have to say, I don't understand at all. And I felt a lot of resistance, I think, when they read me stuff about the type.
Did you hear so this is how I remembered it. Rami said words at you.
Yes.
You had resistance to the words. Rami said, Rami and I hung out. They said, say those words you just said to this recording device. I said those words to the recording device. Those words were delivered to you for the purpose of soothing the difficulty of hearing it. So did that purpose get fulfilled or did it just activate you more?
No, there was, and I don't think it was out being activated exactly. It was, okay. I don't remember what the name of the thing is. Is it Manifestor Generator? Like I'm the rare one.
It's called your type.
Your type. Okay.
It's not that rare. You're a projector, but go ahead.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It's a little more rare than generator, but it's not the rare one of the 5.
Okay, maybe I was misunderstanding, but it was like, oh, it's the special one, and you bring things into the world and all of this, and I do that sort of, but I also feel so much angst about that and really want to just be a part of things, that was part of the resistance to that. And I think there was also like a role model aspect
Yeah.
that I did not relate to. And so your words about that, which I believe were to the effect of like, just by being yourself and living your life in the way that is true to you is being a role model. That felt nice. That felt good.
Okay, so wait, am I wrong? Are you a manifester? Does that sound right?
That's manifestor is what I think I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, projector does not sound
Got it.
right. But and so it also fed into my whole like Enneagram 4, I'm super special and unique thing in a way that like
Didn't help.
maybe not. Like I think it's part of my life's work in a way to be like, you're not more important than everyone else. You're not worse than everybody else. You're not better than everybody else. And that's so then things that come in and say like special are both like, yeah, of course, and feel like, ooh, is that healthy for me?
Uh-huh. Got it. Well, you know the idea that you're allowed to be a thing, and that being a thing doesn't make you the specialist thing of that thing.
Yes.
Like you could be a manifester whose job is to inform people, and you might be a hermit role model who just by being who you are is an example to other people of what it is to be who you are. An example of authenticity is kind of what 6-2s are. It's like, oh, look at that person really being who they are. I guess I don't have to put on these masks is kind of what the 6-2 is. So you could be all that without being particularly special about it.
Yeah. And that, I mean, the idea of authenticity is also something that like at various points in my life has felt really important to me. In my art making for a while, I got very worked up about it. I don't know if I think so much about the concept of authenticity right now in my life.
You're fun. You're the 4iest 4 I've interacted with in a while.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
because here's another thing I'll say about that is that I had a lot of also like, ooh, 4 or 1, because irritation, anger, those things spoke to me.
Yeah, right.
And within personality diagnosing systems, astrology, for instance,
Yeah.
I'm not really in that world. And I tend to think like when somebody did do my chart as part of a tarot reading, just as a little dabble, there was tons of Leo. And then I said that to somebody else and they're like, huh, that doesn't seem right. Are you sure? And I just feel like, oh, I break all the systems. Like I'm not really like I'm supposed to be.
Well, that's a 4 right there.
Exactly.
No one understands how I operate.
Even the way you started that sentence, I was like, yeah, you're a 4. It's fine. That's fine. Okay. But okay.
But then it's hard not to feel like we're making fun of you by saying that, but we're not. We're enjoying that aspect.
Oh, no. I think
But that's one of the challenges is going, but if I'm totally that, doesn't that make me, ew, that I'm just something that is being determined that be that way?
The whole Enneagram system is sort of interesting in it being like, oh, the things that are most recognizable are the things like that you don't like. And
right.
And then I was kind of like, oh, I really want to figure out who I am. And so then you're trying to recognize these things.
Uh-huh.
But in terms of personal growth, that's not necessarily what you want to lean into, right?
Except that it is. No, because Enneagram gives you tools for the challenges of your type. So once you sink into the type, the whole point is then you understand how to work with your type. It's not just, I'm a 4, deal with me. It's I'm a 4. And here are the ways I'll struggle, and here are the gifts of that, and here are some tools for how to like not be limited by my 4-ness, but also not resist my 4-ness.
Right. Using that, oh, I know that because I'm a 4, I think that I'm super special and that no one could possibly understand my feelings, but also knowing that that is a thing that I'm experiencing allows me to go, oh, that's some real activated 4-ness there.
Yeah.
In action, and I can recognize that, and if I so choose, I can also say, oh, what if I grow through that or up beyond that?
Yep. That all sounds right.
Yeah, it can It can be a great doorway to a lot of things. Anywho, welcome to the cast where we make you feel uncomfortable immediately. You're welcome.
Oh, I love being uncomfortable.
Oh, what a 4. Anyway.
Is that also how you deal with your creativity? Are you, as an artist, is that something that you think, do you deal with discomfort as one of your... Erin, tell the people what you do as an artist.
Oh yeah, what's your deal?
Yeah, here's what I do. I do a lot of things in the realm of theater and performance. I would say right now, the thing I lead with is that I'm an actor. I'm also a director and choreographer. I'm a mover. I play a little bit of music. I think that covers most of the range. I came from a really strong dance background. And before that, so I grew up playing music. I was going to be a classical musician. I had a very bad pinched nerve injury. And then I sort of discovered modern dance. I had done some ballet growing up. I ran a dance company for a whole bunch of years and did the very scrappy, self-produced dance world, modern dance thing. I started making more theatery dance. I started doing more theatery blended mishmash of theater and dance work. And then I've just slowly over the past 10, 12, 15 years veered more and more into theater. But like right now I'm working on a piece as a performer / creator that is an immersive dance theater drag show at Oasis, which is like a nightclub in San Francisco. So it's a nice kind of project for me in terms of living at the intersection that I live at.
Mm-hmm. And if I were to say, what does spirituality mean to you? What words would you say back?
I would say that for me, spirituality is about the things that are bigger than any of us individually. It's about things that can't be known through some of our traditional channels. I feel not like a spiritual adept. So I knew that you asked a question like that on this, and I felt a little worried about it. I'm feeling like not necessarily like qualified to just define what spirituality.
There's a right and a wrong answer. You do know that, right?
I know, and I'm being graded, of course. I think maybe it's easier for me to answer my current relationship to spirituality in contrast to what it was growing up, which is I was raised by atheists in Fresno, California, which is a pretty like conservative Christian place. So that in that part of my life, which was very, firmly rooted in my like developmental years, I felt like pretty judgmental towards religion because I felt judged by that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not somebody who's like gifted in the arena of faith. It's not easy for me to believe things. But even from a relatively early, like from high school, I felt drawn towards Buddhism. And I think my orientation, if anything, is towards Buddhism. But I can't call myself a Buddhist because, for one thing, like there are these precepts that you accept, and it's a lot. Like even if you just go to any event at Zen Center, you vow to save all beings. And it's just, that's a lot to commit to.
Heavy ask.
Yeah. And it's great. But there's something about my dad, atheist psychologist guy who thought Freud was like the great genius, was sort of interested in Buddhism in a very like intellectual way, not a practicing person, not like a meditator, but it was sort of like floating around. So I think it came into my realm, and something within that giant thing feels like, oh, that's right. That instinctively feels right, that we are all actually one thing. And there's this illusion that we're separate, and that there's suffering. I also sort of am drawn to Zen Buddhism in particular because it feels like you're not doing it wrong, even if nothing is happening. Like I have had a monk tell me like, oh yeah, if you're just like sitting and looking at the wall, you shouldn't be shocked if sometimes you're just sitting and looking at a wall. And I think that's very comforting to me within a spiritual organization, because I think I feel like anything that gives me a hard sell makes me feel distrustful.
Has it ever been, that makes sense. That's very common, by the way, for creative, sensitive people. That's their first reaction to everything. That is a hard sell. Anybody being like, this people like us go, no, or maybe not.
Yeah.
Or why?
Yeah.
Right. This is a genuine question. It's not meant as a suggestion. It's a question.
Okay.
Has it ever been to you interesting to examine that reaction or that response? Or do you just go like, no, that's it. That's how I.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I love to think about how I or anyone thinks.
Okay.
How or why we think things that we think. And
what about the emotional aspect of it?
Like what might make me, yeah.
Well, yeah. Just like that thing of how you're like, one way to, is, again, this is a true question because like I have friends of all the orientations and humans do what they want. One orientation people can have in response to like when we notice that sort of like no thing is to go like, ooh, what's under that? Why am I so resistant to that? What is my issue with that? And then sit into that and do some like dissolving of that or whatever words work better. But some people I notice they're like, yeah, I can look at my reaction, but I'm not gonna like change it or like delve behind it into like not having it anymore. Like that's not a thing for a lot of.
No, I think I have, and I do. And I'm like definitely a sucker for all kinds of like self-help and self-improvement. And so in a way, I think also like some of my work in this life is the basic kind of therapy stuff of not judging and criticizing all of my natural reactions to things, behaviors, everything. So that's like a long road that I'm in the middle of. But the tendency to examine and to, in that 4E way, like go in, like I always assume, oh, there's something weird about me. Why does everybody love sports and I don't love sports? Why is this working for everybody and it's not working for me? Why is everybody having fun in this scenario? This is not fun for me.
Right. So, okay. That sounds like judgment of you, right? That's
right. That's the first place things go. And then I guess like in terms of a deeper examination, it can be looking back at family of origin stuff and how maybe some of that criticism, perfectionism, feeling that I don't belong or something may have started back there.
Sure. Yeah. What sorry to do this to you as a person who doesn't like typing, but just to scratch an itch I have. Do you know your sun, moon, and rising by any chance astrologically?
Sun is like the main one, right?
Yeah.
That's Leo.
Okay.
And I think one of the other ones is Leo as well, but I don't remember which one.
Oh, cool. You don't have your birth time to the minute.
I do.
Would you mind if I looked at your astrology and just told you what your sun, moon, and rising are?
I wouldn't.
And then you could fully ignore it. I just want to know for me.
No, I think that like I have a little policy right now of like one woo thing at a time. And right now I'm sort of into tarot.
Oh, cool.
So that's like
one woo thing at a time, damn it.
That's my woo. All right. I'm putting all my stuff in the chat.
I just want to know your sun, moon, and rising, but we don't even have to talk about it. Okay. Oh.
See, what is that?
What is the O?
Well, here, the O is that you have, let me just count them up real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4 planets in Leo, and you have 2, 3 in Sag. So that's 8 fire signs out of 12 possible signs. It's a lot of fire.
Right. It is.
Mm-hmm. So you have Sag rising, Sun Leo, Moon Leo, Mercury Leo, Venus Leo, Neptune in Sag, and North Node in Sag. And it's just a ton of fire.
That's what I remember. Yeah. And that's something that I don't know. Like I do, and I don't identify with it.
Totally get it. And then you have, this is interesting too. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You could say the most sensitive signs in the zodiac are the remaining ones you have in any planets. In other words, everything else is Pisces, Cancer, Libra. So you have Jupiter in Pisces, Saturn in Cancer, and then Uranus and Pluto in Libra, meaning there's like a whole lot of watery, airy sensitivity, feelings, subtlety, water, feelings, all day feelings and water and beauty underneath all this fire.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting, is the interestingness of the juxtaposition of all that fire with all that emotive, fluid sensitivity under it, or you could say like behind it or whatever. That's just like such an interesting, set of qualities together in one human mammal. I love it. That's so interesting. Cool. Well, thanks for indulging me with that. I was just curious, really.
Yeah, it's everyone I know is relatively deep into astrology, I think. And and so I get these little tugs. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why I resist.
I'm going to do one more thing. If you'll indulge me one more thing.
I will.
I'm also just going to pull your human design up. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. I just want to know. I have to scratch this itch too, because Rami perked it. Peaked it. Oh, cool. Well, this is a very Leo design. I hate to tell you.
Well, they're both based on birthday and time, right? So it seems, is there normally that kind of overlap?
Not necessarily. I mean, sometimes I think so. It's just, it's like overtly Leo. Like this is very Leo, what I'm looking at. This should be a manifestor with the left angle cross of revolution.
I mean, come on. I don't know what that means.
Come on.
Come on, guys. Am I right? Yeah. No. So anyways.
Here's the thing that when Rami read me the thing about manifestor, it was like, I don't want to have to be in charge of the things. I don't want to have to like go and like pull things out of my ass to like bring into the world. I want to like have an easier path in my creative life.
Okay. Well, you don't have to do that to be a manifestor. Listen to this based on what you just said. Just let me see if this blows your mind at all. It blows mine, but it doesn't have to blow yours. So the cross, the incarnation cross, it's this term. It refers to what your day-to-day life is filled with when you're functioning correctly as yourself in a deconditioned way. Remember what you just said?
About pulling things out of my ass?
Yeah, go ahead and say it again before I read this. I don't want to have to.
Oh, I want an easier path in my creative life. I don't want to have to like make everything happen.
Okay. So I hear you. The left angle cross of revolution 2 is the one you have. Your cross is about revolution that is practical. If the pattern of the revolution fits and is supported by facts, then it is a change you're willing to invest in. If, on the other hand, it's a good theory, but there's nothing to stand on, then you'll let it go. You're here to make practical change. Which to me sounds like because when I hear you say like, I don't want to have to do it all myself, you're just learning how to work with your type. Like a manifestor is someone who's going to have ideas and inform people about what's coming, but what they're meant to do then is delegate everything.
Ooh, that's so hard for me.
Deconditioning is hard.
Yeah, so I in my creative life right now, there's directing and there's acting. And in the past, there was like running this scrappy little dance company and like doing everything. And that burned me out really, really hard. And that was a while ago that I like folded up that endeavor. But these kind of directing things keep coming into my world. And so I co-directed and choreographed a big musical in the fall. And I'm directing a film this summer that I had a meeting right before this about that. And that work is so hard. Like, it's kind of great. And like, I get in there and like, I go into it. And one of the things I am trying to learn on my current project is to not try to do other people's jobs and to allow other people to do their jobs.
Yeah. In fact, I would say with this design here, you would have to do that because you have no definition in the centers where you have energy to do stuff. You're someone who's meant to, with your ego, go, this is what we're doing. This is my vision. I say it to you very clearly through my defined throat. Now, you guys go make it happen because I need a nap. But you'd have to really decondition out of your codependent need to please people in order to live into this design that you have.
Okay, that's interesting.
Now, all these centers are open. This is the motor, the generator, people who just like constantly have energy to do stuff. You don't have that.
No, I don't.
This down here is the root center that's like, I have the energy to sustain over time all the doing of stuff. You don't have any definition there. You don't even have, there's a lot you don't have, which I don't want to overwhelm you with, but you have a strong will to be very sticky and competitive and in the dirt and the grime and the doing it about your ideas. And you know just what to say about it. You know what the expression of it is, but you're going to be having this as your only defined motor means, so the ego is the weakest motor. It's a motor and it goes, I know what I want, but now I got to lay down. It doesn't have a ton of energy, and that's correct for it. That's why one of the biggest tools for a manifestor is to learn how to delegate. Because you have, particularly for you, you have no definition in any of the parts of a person that would make you be someone who could like go all the time. That would be so incorrect for you to function that way, that's why you burned out on that other thing.
Yeah.
With the dance company, because you would burn out unless you were delegating a ton.
Well, I'm learning to do that.
Yeah, it's a journey, right? It's a journey for all of us, delegating.
Yeah.
Who am I? What are they going to listen to me? Why would I? Oh, I don't want to be the boss. But I hate to break it to you, you're the boss.
See, here's where that's why the resistance.
Yeah, but you see this right here? Not self-theme, anger.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, that yes.
Meaning when you're operating out of sync with your true nature, your response to that is going to end up being anger, right?
You'll feel angry when you're functioning from the not self-theme of any of these open centers. And what those not self themes are like, I got to do more. I got to keep up with them. I don't know how to keep up with them. I should be feeling more. I should know who I am and never feel lost with no direction. And I should have intuitive instincts about this, but I don't. So anytime any of that's happening, those shoulds, those are the shoulds associated with these centers, you're going to be pissed. Now you're going to be even more pissed when you build a life on the not self themes of these open centers, which I could tell you what they were if you wanted to know, which we don't have to do. The thing I do have to tell you, I would be irresponsible if I let you leave here. This up here tells me I just have one piece of advice for you that will change your life if you internalize it and if it resonates, obviously, which is anything that goes through your head, you have the mind that is very good at helping others. Like your mind is built to contribute to them, whether it's a creative event or a vision or Cassidy or me, just somebody out there. But if you use your mind to try to figure you out, you will go crazy. Your mind is not the decider of what is true for you, who you are, any of it. But it'll be very loudly trying to tell you that it is.
Yes.
That's all. So you get to use your big brain for your brain yours has like particular shit it's interested in, and it's really not interested in other shit. That's what it is to have definition in the head and ajna. And you even have a particular way of computing questions. Like if a question comes, then the way you compute it is very particular. That's all very useful stuff for everything to do with others. When you turn it inward, it just spins you. It won't get you to clarity. What gets you to clarity is, and you won't like this, if you don't like being a Leo, is your ego.
Interesting.
I know.
It's not that I don't like being a Leo. Of course, I love being a Leo.
Oh, okay.
Because it's you.
This is maybe too tangential, but it's like, I think I'm like, oh, I'm not Leo enough.
Oh, so you're not doing it right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I just think the reason that comes up for you is because of all these open centers. Because this part of you, think of it.
That's a lot.
Yeah, like these guys are not very Leo, but this fucker, which is who you are, is very Leo. Now, the not self, the programming, the conditioning of our open centers, you have 5 open centers out of 9, is very loud. The not self of the open centers is very loud. Also, the open centers are where you're very fluid, flexible, open, Pisces, Libra, Cancer, like I said before. So you could think of it as like all this fluidity and non-Leo-ness is all this openness. But where you have that...
Would you say not self is essentially like conditioning? Are those the same thing?
Yeah,
basically?
That's why I said them next to each other to clarify what that term means. But where you are, the Erinness of Erin is everywhere this is colored in. And so when you get that willful thing that you probably get where you're like, I need to make this project. I need to make this thing. That's this right here. That's who you are in terms of like what is there. What is not there is going to be all this. So in other words, Pisces, Libra, and Cancer is all these open centers. Leo is right in here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just, that's a whole different conversation. So anyway, to me, it's all right there. But yeah, you're very Leo enough as far as I'm concerned. With 5 open centers, it would be hard.
Yeah, no, that's like, that's just life thematic stuff of not enough of whatever identity. I'm mixed race, not Asian enough. I'm bisexual, not queer enough. Like it's a theme that I'm working with.
I'll show you one more thing real fast. That's I think that's in here. The open G. I can't. I don't want to do this to you because once I start going, there's so much. Oh, Erin has a question for the records. Yeah, we'll get there. Once I start going on human design, then you're listening to a thing you don't want to, and blah, blah, blah. So thank you for indulging all of that. You are, by association, a very good friend of the podcast. Like, I think of you, it was like when Cassidy said we could have Erin on, I was like, how is it possible we haven't had Erin on yet?
I don't know. I mean, and I'm a listener to the podcast, more like I was, and then not for a while. And then Rami was around more. And so I feel like a friend of the podcast.
I love it. You feel like one to me. What is your question for the records?
Okay. And it's without context.
Okay.
The question is that there is a film project. I've basically been offered a role in like a very low budget film. And I am trying to decide whether that's a good path.
Huh.
The context, of which there could be a lot, let me try and summarize briefly. I've done another project with these folks. I've done mostly theater. And so film is like something that I'm still feeling out. Like, do I want to go down that road? Do I like it? So it's kind of an open question. And the experience of doing that previous film was mixed. And it would go on for they kind of film whenever. It could take like a year, but I could also do other things. But it's kind of a large commitment. It's a large role. It feels a little bit like maybe they wrote it for me. I mean, that sounds a little bit obnoxious, but when I read it and they know me and I've been in this other thing, I was like, maybe this was written a little bit with me in mind. The script itself has problems. The character's pretty in my wheelhouse and would be fun for me to play. I also just did my first show at like a really big theater a few months ago, and it went really well. It was a good play. It was a good production. It was a good role for me. And I have this feeling like other things are going to come. I've also been asked, like, do I want to do more directing? And I am not sure because it makes me so tired. So I feel like there's a bit of an opportunity cost to signing on for like a long project where I feel like it'll look really good. There'll be some like stuff where I look good for a reel or whatever. I would get to put into creative practice some things I feel like I learned from the last one that I want to do better. Those are all positives. But I do feel, there's an opportunity cost in terms of like other things are going to come up, but I don't know what they are.
Can you ask them if they can work around your schedule? Like if a show comes up?
They will. So it isn't like, a year in which I can't do anything else. I asked them specifically like, hey, if I got a show, could we just stop shooting for 3 months? And they said, yeah, of course, we want you to have a great career.
Oh, well, great.
Yeah.
So then wait, what would the loss be? What would the problem be?
I think like maybe it might feel like the last one felt kind of like it dragged on a bit. I didn't love the other main actor that I was working with. So I think that was like a lot of it, but just like even having to like, you have to look the same all year and then most of your weekends go do this thing. So it's like, it's a lot of time to be spending doing this thing. And if the film itself isn't great, like, does that matter?
Does it matter to you?
If I read it and it was a great film, that would help me decide.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it might most likely won't be doesn't feel like a clear no.
Have you not been able to read it yet?
I have read it, and the script has some problems that I have outlined for them in detail, but I don't know whether they'll actually get fixed. You know, there's like a character who's kind of addicted to opioids and is portrayed in a very like cartoonish, villainous way that I don't like. And yeah, there's just some stuff I'm like, I don't like that.
Check this out. Your cross is about revolution that is practical. If the pattern of the revolution fits and is supported by facts, the writing is good, then it is a change that you are willing to invest in. If, on the other hand, it's a good theory, nice sounding movie, but there's nothing to stand on, bad writing, then you will let it go. You are here to make practical change. Like, does it feel like something that is it standing on something? Is it supported by facts?
The thing itself, is it standing on something?
The whole thing of it. Does it feel to you like this is stable and anchored in something I believe in and feels really high quality and I believe in it and it's standing in something real that I believe in?
I don't know.
Is it a good theory but with nothing to stand on? Or is it hard to say?
I think when I compare it to this other thing I'm working on right now, which is a Chinese American rooted story with a lot of like weird vaudeville elements, whatever. Like I have a lot of belief in this project that I'm currently working on. I think I don't feel that same thing about the other one. It's more like, it's like a thing that's there where I can like exercise and refine my craft as an actor for film. But am I like, ooh, that's gotta be made? No.
I mean, with ego definition, it's sort of like the feeling for ego defined, your authority is your ego. So like for ego defined people, it's sort of like something about the ego latches on to certain things. And then those things feel like they have to be followed through to the end. There's a feeling of like, I will do this. I have the will for this. No matter what, I will do this till it's done. And
I've always thought that like the ability to complete projects is like one of the major things that like I bring to whatever.
So what I'm getting at with that's great, is your will sort of latch on to this project or it won't. And it sounds to me like it's not latched on right now. And the question you're wondering is like, is it going to hook in? Am I going to be like, that has to get made? I have to be part of that.
Yeah.
That would be an example of following your authority according to human design.
Yeah.
Your authority is like what's going to lead you to satisfaction, fulfillment, success.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, there's that framework. Now, in the Akashic Records, let me tap in. It's just Erin Meiling Stuart is your full legal name. Well, here we can close our eyes. We'll do a little bit of a thing. I'm not going to do a whole formal grounding process because I don't need to.
And I would just space out in the middle, so.
That's a reference to an earlier thing we were talking about. So we do acknowledge just breathing into your low belly if you can, Erin, and just feeling into your heart a little bit. We do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Holy Spirit of God, protect me, please, from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Erin Meiling Stuart. In the light of the Akashic Records, help me to see Erin Meiling Stuart through the eyes of the Lords of the Records. And enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the Masters, teachers, and loved ones of Erin Meiling Stuart have for Erin Meiling Stuart. Let me go quiet for just a minute here. All right, well, I'll just give you what they give me, okay? And this can be in, take it, leave it, burn it in the trash. It's all welcome here. They show me the whole imprint of your chart in front of me, and they go, yeah, you have to tell her the thing about the G center, and then you have to tell her the thing about this image they're showing me. So the first piece is When you have an open G center, that's this square in the middle of the chart, which I'll show you again later. When it's open, the freedom, each open center has something called a not self theme, and each open center has something called a freedom. So the not self theme of the open G is I'm lost with no direction, or I don't fit in and I don't know who I am. And I'm spending all my time trying to figure out who I am or trying to fit in, or just wrestling with having no direction and being lost. That's the conditioning voice of the open G center. The freedom of the open G center, meaning if you wanted more peace and if you wanted to be in flow and not be so frustrated or angry, because listening to the not self of the open G, I'm lost with no direction and I have to find my direction and my identity, will make you feel angry. Anytime we listen to the not self theme of an open center, we will feel our not self theme overarching, and yours is anger. So here's the cool part. The freedom of the open G is you're free to be no one or anyone, which sounds to me like bisexual, not quite Asian, not quite this, not quite that. You're free to be that, no one or anyone, right? That's like, if you're wondering, who am I? You're no one or anyone. Who do you feel like being? Which is kind of like very in line with being an actor. Who is this character? I'll be this right now. And then for you, the question to ask is, do I really, really want to be this right now? Do I have the will to be this character right now? And if you don't really have the will to do it, don't, because you'll just be angry the whole time. Okay, so spending any time and energy, we'd like to reiterate, wondering, who am I? How do I hammer down, like you said to us at the beginning of this conversation? I don't like any time somebody goes like, this is it. You're correct to be meh about that, because for you, you have open G center. There is no, this is it. There's, I'm no one or I'm anyone. I'm all of it or I'm none of it. Who knows? It just depends on the day, right? And that would be correct for you with an open G. You have a lot of direct, this is so interesting. Okay, there's so much information. I'm trying to sort through where to start. No. Okay, so you have, they call the open centers a lot of times the God centers. Another way to say that would be the places where you're open are the places where you have direct access to the divine or the mysterious or the unknown or the flexible or the fluid, right? And you have 5 open centers of 9 total. 5 open of 9 total. So you have a lot of access to the mystery, the fluidity, the Pisces, the Libra, the Cancer, the flowing, the is it this or is it that? You have a lot of access to that in your system, which is fantastic. The point is simply when you're trying to make decisions, the question to come back to is, do I have the will to do this? Has my will locked in and activated in a way where it really needs to do this and see it through to its end or not? And if you don't do it because you'll be angry and you'll be distracted from what you're meant to be doing. Okay, so is it in her highest good to be doing this project? No. Does she actually have the will to do it? No. She already knows, they say, but there's the fear of, which comes from the open spleen. There's the fear of, it's a little FOMO-y, it's a little, but what if it could have been, and it could go on the resume and it would look good, and all the reasons are coming from, if you were to analyze them, fear. What if I miss out? What if it is great? What if I'm doing it wrong? What if I? So far, unless you have more to say that I haven't understood yet or that they're not getting, in which case, just let me know. So there's no actual latching on here of your soul and its desires to what this thing is. There's just shoulds and ideas and theories, which is exactly the thing Katie was describing with the mind, how the mind is not meant for you to use to make decisions about your life. But your mind is very particular, fixated, specific, and loud. So remember, this mind of yours is meant for them. It's meant to know where to direct the people on stage. It's meant to interpret text. It's meant to help your friends out. It's meant to calculate for them, whoever them is in any situation. But if you calculate good logical reasons to take a job without your will actually latching on, which, by the way, you don't get to decide with your mind or any part of you what your will latches on to and what it doesn't. That's the mystery of the universe. Your will, yours, Erin, will latch on to things that are correct for you, but it will not latch on to things that are not correct for you, no matter what you tell it to do with your brain. So the deconditioning process here is around, it's challenging for two reasons. One, it's very loud in here. And two, you have what's called split definition, where your head and ajna are disconnected from your ego and your throat. So it can feel like there's two yous sometimes. They say like two cats in a bag. And there's what you're latched onto, but then there's all your thoughts about it. We promise you from the realms of heaven and the divine light itself and the angelic channels and portals of all that is holy, your mind does not have the answers for you. Do you latch on willfully or not? Not should you latch on willfully or not. You don't get to decide what you latch onto. It just happens or it doesn't. And there's nothing wrong with you because of that fact. That's the mechanics of you. So this project, this film, will it be satisfying, fun, fulfilling? No. Could this change in the future? We don't think so. No. It's pretty clear. They're pretty loud about it.
Sounds like, yeah.
Other questions?
I think that's I don't want to get greedy.
Oh, please do. We're here for you.
Everyone says that. It's interesting.
Really?
It's a very common thing to say. Oh, I do it. Oh, I don't want to take up all the air all the time. I don't want to use up too much of the record keeper's time.
The divine light.
It's finite. So you.
It's an actual question. It's a little bit a question that people ask me that I ask myself that I don't know how to answer. And maybe it's not even a question, which is about two of these sides of my creative life, one of which is acting, which feels like the rewards are very transparent and clear and easy, but there's no power, and it feels like. And what that craft is feels so like deep and going back into all time of like storytelling and whatever. And then on the side of like the directing thing, it like keeps getting like just coming at me, and I'm like, yes, I can do this. And then I do it, and there is a satisfaction. But again, it's like, it's just hard. It's like hard and often kind of painful. And so what is the question?
Well, they bring me back to, it's like, does your will, your love of it, your willingness to get in the dirt and like get a knife out. This is what the ego's energy is. You would get a knife and cut a bitch to make sure you got to do that thing. You wouldn't really, because you're a nice Piscean Libra Cancer lady. You're never going to cut any bitches. But secretly, metaphorically, you might cut a bitch to play one of those roles. Would you cut a bitch to direct a play? That's the question.
Great. Yeah. Right now, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's you're gonna have a lot of things that come your way as a 6-2, by the way. They say for the second line body, which you have, you spend a lot of energy saying no to stuff, and it can feel insane and crazy making.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're like, but they're asking me to, and I've hustled my whole life to get this other thing, and all these people want me to do this thing. I'm crazy for saying no, but a second line is constantly batting people away. Nope. Because second line is a hermit. If your body is hermetic, not your personality, but your body is a hermit, and it doesn't want to leave home except for what it's really called to. It has to be called out. It has to need it. And with ego definition, you have to be willing to bleed in order to say yes. It has to have your guts and your soul and your will organically in it without you having to talk yourself into it. If you're trying to talk yourself into it for reasons, you're in your head and you're not connected to yourself, your truth. Anyway, cool. So there's that. Let's see. Well, the way the record keepers frame it is they're like, well, she has the drive, the true, honest drive to be an actor. And remember, at this time anyway, remember there can be a lot of power in being an actor. It's how you hold the sword. In the rehearsal, you can say, well, I'm going to try this. And then you try it and they have to deal with you. You take the stage or you don't. It's very powerful. Now, I understand exactly what you mean about there's no power in a lot of other ways, right? So that may be where
you don't decide what story is going to get told. You don't decide if you get the job. You don't decide what something is going to look. There's so much there. I think you end up often in the position of like, please choose me, which can feel disempowering. I don't feel disempowered right now. And I know I love work where I get to like be a performer, but also be a creator of things and have my voice be heard.
They keep coming back to like, you're always going to need to lead more than you want to. And what will make that easier for you is getting more help than you're comfortable getting.
Oh, yeah.
So that's your work to do. Your work is practice asking for help, practice delegating, and have the voice you want to have, lead. It's like you want to make work and say something that you give a shit about. And you want to do plays that you like doing. So when you're making work, you gotta hand a lot of it off and get help. There's gotta be practical support. What was it? There's gotta be cross about revolution that is practical. If the pattern of revolution fits and is supported by facts, then it's a change you're willing to invest in. If on the other hand, it's a good theory, but there's nothing to stand on, then you'll let it go. You want to think about that in terms of like, is this project supported financially by people? Is it supported? And if so, I have all the will to drive it to the end if I can delegate and there's money and there's support. Yeah. I unfortunately have to wrap this here because I got to get across town in 20 minutes. I want to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion, the lords of the records for their point of view, and the Holy Spirit of light for all knowledge and healing. I see you return all of Erin Meiling Stuart's energy to herself now, please. Should have asked you your pronouns before. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Erin Meiling Stuart are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Erin Meiling Stuart are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Erin Meiling Stuart are now closed. Amen, amen, amen. So whenever I'm closing someone's records, you've probably heard me say this on the podcast before, but it's sort of like, imagine like you were in me, and then as you're leaving, the universe is dragging you across the sides of me inside. It's dragging you out. Like kind of like if you had like a blanket sitting on you and then you pull it off, you feel the blanket's presence more as it's being pulled off than you do when you're just sitting there. So I always get all this information when the records are closing. I wish I could just hand you this awareness instead of trying to filter it through fucking language, which is so annoyingly small. Think of it this way. They're like, the divine perfection of your expression is like a flash of fire. Oh God, it's like when you ever see something very fine, like a fabric that's very fine that gets lit on fire, and it goes up in a roar and then it's out. The flame is just out because it's like a very thin fabric or something.
Sure.
You are that fabric. And when the flame hits, that's when you know it's for you. But don't be surprised that you are made of two substances that are so opposing one another. One part of what you're made of is this sinewy, almost like fabricless, weightless fabric that is basically like rice paper, but that's more fluid, like a fluid watery rice paper that barely exists. And then the fire comes and burns it all up. That's you. And so that's where it's like you have this sensitivity and this, you wouldn't identify as a Leo with those insides of yours and those open centers being a flowy rice paper thing. But then that fire comes. It does come. And it goes, we're doing this fucking thing. And then the rest of you is like, but I'm just rice paper. How do I handle this? And that is the question of your life. That's the ride. That's the tension. They would say like the tension in your chart creates the life you live.
Yep.
I hope that's helpful in some way.
It is.
If I have more words that come to me about it, I'll say them at you sometime.
Okay.
I love you guys. Let's all do our work. Thank you for being here, Erin. I have to run.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Do your work. So fun to talk to you.
Love y'all.
Love you all.
Much love.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
Golden.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.
Golden.